Call the meeting of the Motley City Council to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Jeffrey.
Present.
Brubaker.
Here.
Kimmons.
Here.
Davis.
Here.
Kaiser.
Here.
Thank you. Everyone's had a copy of the agenda. Is there any corrections to the agenda for this evening? Not, I entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So, second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to communication requests, we have number 2, request from the YMCA.
Yes, Mayor, we have the request for the annual Turkey Trot 5K, November 25th. Public Safety and Parks and Rec have both reviewed this and are recommending approval.
Very well. Anyone have any questions about the event? All right, hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
It's been motioned and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, could I interrupt? Did we
Yes.
do the minutes?
I think I did not. So everyone's had a copy of the minutes. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. And so is there any corrections or additions to the minutes?
No.
Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So move.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to public hearing, number 3, receipt of bids for demolition of accessory building.
Do you want to do that?
You can see we received 3 bids on that. Wiedemann Dozing was the lowest bid, $6,100, and so that's what we're recommending moving forward with.
Questions from council? All right. Hearing none, is there a motion to approve receipt of bid?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 4, receipt of bids for lease purchase financing for a new 2022 Rosenbauer pumper.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We requested bids for the financing of a 2022 Rosenbauer pumper and used aerial. And County Bank ended up being the lowest rate at 1.63. So we're going to be recommending that you move forward with County Bank at 1.63. And we're going to only finance the actual Rosenbauer truck.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions about that? You understand that's only for one of them, not 2. All right. Hearing no questions, is there a motion to approve the receipt of that bid?
So move.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to ordinances and resolutions. Number 5, an ordinance.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have an ordinance adopting the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission to approve the rezoning application of Redhead Properties Family Trust and has to be read for passage.
All right. There's a motion for the reading of the ordinance. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? First reading.
An ordinance adopting the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission to approve the rezoning application of Redhead Properties Family Trust for property located at 317 Patton Street.
All right. For the first reading of the ordinance, is there any questions? Any further discussion? Hearing none. Second reading.
An ordinance adopting the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission to approve the rezoning application of Redhead Properties Family Trust for property located at 317 Patton Street.
All right. For the final reading, is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Roll call, please.
Jeffrey.
Yes.
Brubaker.
Yes.
Kimmons.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Kaiser.
Yes.
All right. Motion carries. The ordinance is passed. Moving on to number 6, a resolution.
Mr. Mayor, I have a resolution accepting the bid and authorizing contracting with Wiedemann Dozing LLC for demolition of 4 accessory structures. Ask for it to be read for passage.
All right, there's a motion for the reading of the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? First and only reading.
A resolution accepting the bid and authorizing contracting with Wiedemann Dozing LLC for demolition of 4 accessory structures.
All right, you've heard the reading of the resolution. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution passes. Moving on to number 7, a resolution.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have a resolution authorizing a lease termination agreement and 2 hangar leases with Graves and Sandra Sanford and Nancy Rivera, and I ask that it be read once for consideration of passage.
All right, for the motion for the reading of the resolution, is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? First and only reading.
A resolution authorizing a lease termination agreement and 2 hangar leases with Graves and Sandra Sanford and Nancy Rivera.
All right, you've heard the reading of the resolution. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution is passed. All right, we're moving on to number 8, a resolution.
Mr. Mayor, I have a resolution accepting the proposal of Rosenbauer South Dakota LLC for rental of a fire pump truck and ratifying the execution of a lease agreement. Has to be read once for consideration.
All right, heard the motion for the reading of the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? First and only reading.
A resolution accepting the proposal of Rosenbauer South Dakota LLC for rental of a fire pumper truck and ratifying the execution of a lease agreement.
All right, you've heard the reading of the resolution. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The resolution is passed. Moving on to number 9, a resolution.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have a resolution accepting the bid of Mobley Motors for a fire command supervisor vehicle and has to be read for consideration.
All right, heard the motion for the reading of the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? First and only reading.
A resolution accepting the bid of Moberly Motors for a fire command supervisor vehicle in the total amount of $38,655.
All right, you've heard the reading of the resolution. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to number 10, resolution.
Mr. Mayor, I have a resolution authorizing the purchase of a new engine pumper for the Mobley Fire Department. Ask for it to be read for consideration.
All right, there's a motion for the reading of the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? First and only reading.
A resolution authorizing the purchase of a new engine pumper for the Moberly Fire Department.
All right, you heard the reading of the resolution. Is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none. Is there a motion for approval?
So move.
And a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution is passed. You're going to have to wait for me to page through this spec sheet. It's probably going to take an hour. Nobody else is following it?
At least we don't have paper copies.
Goodness.
Got the hard copy.
Oh, I've got it.
You're trying to get to page 287.
All right, we'll move on and move to number 11, a resolution.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have a resolution authorizing the purchase of a 2006 Sutphen aerial truck for the Moberly Fire Department. I ask it to be read once for consideration of passage.
All right, you've heard the motion for the reading of the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? First and only reading.
A resolution authorizing the purchase of a 2006 Sethman aerial truck for the Moberly Fire Department.
All right, any further discussion? And this is the one we're going to use ARPA funds on, right?
Yes.
Is everybody clear on that?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so without further discussion, is there a motion for approval?
So move.
And a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, resolution is passed. Moving on to number 12, a resolution.
Mr. Mayor, I have a resolution authorizing the submission of a proposed ordinance for pretreatment modifications to the Missouri Department of Natural Resources. Ask to be read for consideration.
All right, for the motion for the reading of the resolution, is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? First and only reading.
A resolution authorizing the submission of a proposed ordinance for pretreatment modifications to the Missouri Department of Natural Resources.
Okay, further discussion? I guess I would ask, since I didn't read every line of every page, what are the changes from current to what you're proposing? Or are there any? Who wants to answer that?
Dana probably will.
Yes, who wants to?
You stood up.
Should be on, but
It is on. Does that sound good?
Yep.
What this does is update our existing ordinances to meet required EPA rules, which was part of a streamlining order that the EPA passed several years ago. So this updates our existing ordinances
I see.
to fulfill that. And this actual motion that you're voting on allows DNR to review what we've submit to them, so that they can tell us, yes, it's acceptable, or no, it's not, and these are the items you need to fix.
all right, thank you.
You're
Anyone else? Mr. Davis?
Will we have to go back and then pass the revisions to each ordinance once it's passed by the EPA? Is that what the process is?
Yes. Yeah. We'll take this whole chapter back to you for approval once they've commented on it.
That's correct.
Okay.
Anyone else? All right, thank you. Okay, without further questions, is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to number 13, a resolution.
Yes,
Who has-
Mr. Mayor. Yep. A resolution approving a lease agreement with Marine Toys for Tots Foundation for property located at 218 West Reed Street. Ask for it to be read for consideration.
All right, you heard the motion for the reading of the resolution. Is there a second?
Second?
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? First and only reading.
A resolution approving a lease agreement with Marine Toys for Tots Foundation for property located at 218 West Reed Street and authorizing the city manager to execute the lease.
All right, you've heard the reading of the resolution. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to number 14, a resolution.
Mr. Mayor, I have a resolution authorizing execution of an addendum to the fuel card services agreement between Wex Bank and Sourcewell for the state of Missouri. Ask for it to be read for passage.
All right, you've heard the motion for the reading of the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
Been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? First and only reading.
A resolution authorizing execution of an addendum to the fuel card services agreement between Wex Bank and Sourcewell for the state of Missouri.
All right, for the reading of the resolution, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to number 15, a resolution.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have a resolution appropriating money out of the treasury of the city of Moberly, Missouri. I ask to be read once for consideration of passage.
All right, you've heard the motion for the reading of the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
A
Did that wrong.
resolution appropriating money out of the treasury of the city of Moberly, Missouri in the amount of $954,883.05.
I hit end instead of the other page. I hereby certify that there is sufficient money standing to the credit of the city of Moberly, Missouri, unappropriated in the several funds covered by this resolution to meet the requirements of the resolution. Submitted, Gregory L. Hodge, City Treasurer, City of Moberly. Now, I would ask for any further discussion and a motion for approval.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
All right, it's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Moving on to department head monthly reports. Does anyone have questions of any of the departments?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Kimmons.
Tom, I read through your report on the advanced disposal, and I know we're taking a beating on that, and I do appreciate your efforts. It looks like no matter what we do, we're blocked by a lack of communication coming back this direction. And I know you're working hard on getting that straightened out, but man, it is a critical mess right now, I think.
The level of complaints on the residential has diminished some, but the level of complaints on the residential side has diminished some. There's still a lot of issues that need to be addressed, and so they have a new contact now for a manager, or a regional manager. I've talked to a couple times, and so they seem to be willing to talk, but still we've got some things. We've got like the transfer station. That's kind of the latest thing that's been kind of a headache for people. I've got a lot of complaints on accessibility and delays.
I mean, turning people away after they waited for an hour, that.
Yeah.
Well, I know you're working on that, but it's got to be frustrating. I appreciate your efforts. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Trying to find the department. And I don't know if it's the community development, but there was a paragraph in there about the Fennel complex.
The market
Yeah.
study.
Okay. I read, and I don't have that in front of me, something about a dog park and several things. And I just hope that there's not any city time or effort being put into that, because I'm definitely not going to vote for the Fennel complex to be made into a dog park.
Well, not the Fennel building itself, but that was just one of the concepts of some of the conversations from the marketing study. So,
Well, maybe the city council needs to sit down and decide what they want to do with that and come up with a resolution so that we don't expect time and effort on things that we maybe don't support. Because, if there's some great enterprise that needs the front part of the Fennel complex and it makes economic sense, I'm all for that. But otherwise, we need a space downtown for tourism and business events, and that ought to be the priority. That's my opinion. I know that's just one of five, but I don't see a reason to be looking at a lot of other things if that's not the consensus of this body. So does anyone else have an opinion about that?
I'll share your opinion.
Well, I think it's a good idea for us to sit down and kind of flesh out what it is we see that turning into, and save Tom and his people some time and money as well.
Yeah, because I know I'm not voting for a dog park, that's for
I
sure.
was gonna say, this isn't staff time on this, so this is part of I just plugged in the verbiage that they sent me, a paragraph, and this is McClure that's working on that we have a grant for. So they've taken some of this information from the stakeholder meetings that they had, and so there'll be other meetings, obviously, where they'll be getting more input. So we'll be having additional meetings, and I can have them back down here at some point where you can kind of let them talk through what they've come up with and what you're thinking, and give us some more guidance after that, after you all have met.
Well, what do you project the time when it will be a functional facility? Because I mean, as far as an empty space to have events, it can't be far from that, can it? Right now?
The front building is like, obviously we don't have, it's just a shell. We've got it basically boxed in and sealed, tuck pointed, the roof's on it, it's dry and, ready to be shown for somebody to develop. I got windows need to be in there. There's still some work on the walls and stuff for the outside of that, but I mean, it's basically boxed in and secured, which is our goal for that. The middle building is closed up. Doors are all functional, power, lights, that's one that we use for police and fire storage. In the back section, the walls are all secured. The framework and structure and roof canopies are all built inside of there. I mean, you could do stuff on the inside of it at this point. We are working on getting that back section graded off where we can have the grass area to be inside of the fenced-in area, and then our crews are working in-house to get that back lot graded off where it'll drain, and so we can get like a hard surface on that, look towards paving that for parking down the road.
Mr. Brubaker.
Tom, that one section you're referring to, I'm not sure if you referred to it back section or not, but is that where the restrooms are? Or
The restrooms are, so we've cut through the wall. There's a
Okay.
section inside of what was formerly the Pro Auto building. So we've cut through the wall of the Fennel JT Cross building wall, which would be their south wall. And the restrooms are actually constructed inside of that. So there'll be secured structure inside of that. So they're inside of what was formerly the Pro Auto building.
are they completed?
No, they're framed up and plumbed. So that's kind of what we were trying to get the outside work done. That can be worked when we have rainy weather or
Okay.
colder weather.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Davis.
Yeah, the way I understood it when we got started on this was we were going to market it out to a private if we could, and if we wound up not doing that, then and the city kept it and operated it, then it would be a sort of a multi-purpose area. Is that still the plan? Or?
There's three components really. So we talk about it as the Fennel complex, but the front building, which you see is the Auto Body Works, that is the Fennel building, 2 stories. It can be isolated by itself, or it could be part of it. It could all be together, whatever you want to do. But right now it's set up to be its own separate building that could be marketed out, from anything from apartments on the upper level to, one company that wanted to have the whole thing. That's what McClure is really focusing on, is trying to find either components to fill that space or what's the best plan for that. So that's what they're looking at right now. The middle building, the Pro Auto, is the police and fire storage. That's what it's set up for at this time. And then the back portion, which was formerly the JT Cross, is the open area, which is something that I think that everybody agrees that would be, the city would retain that for sure, and that would be like public event space or activities there that could be in conjunction down the road with something that filled the front buildings.
I'm just saying that, if some convention or some entity came to the chamber and the tourism people and said, we need X amount of space, then it all should be available. I mean, we didn't fix it to be permanent storage of anything. We fixed it so we could attract things. So I'm just wondering if they say they want to have a chamber after hours, it looks like rain, what part of it can they use, for example? I'm not putting words in their mouth, but I'm just thinking of when it can be as far as several parts. So if it's flexible, then, other things can occur there.
I don't think it was ever the plan for us to take the Fennel to the point of being operable. I mean, like for power and refinishing the walls, and then we were trying to secure that building and find the right group. Now, I mean, it's possible we could do that, but that was not in our plans or budget at this time.
Right.
The only thing that would really be that we're looking at taking all the way to the final product is the police and fire storage for the center section, which that's what I was got directed to do, and then the back section, the open area, will be a complete finalized facility. We're doing that kind of in-house as well, so it's not, I don't have I've got usually one person over there working on it. I'm trying to put some more city staff on that to kind of move that along, but I think
Thank you.
spring.
Mr. Kimmons?
Kind of on, not on you this time, Tom, but on the chamber and on your weekend with the Mocker tournament, with the Junk Junction. I've been meaning to ask how the turnout was, what numbers you saw. What's that?
Yeah. No, can you come to the mic? They can't hear it at home.
No, yeah, hit the button.
It's down. Yeah.
Okay, so we estimated 6,000 people were in attendance on Saturday downtown. We're still working on our final event report. That's why it's not in your packet this week. But we collected 127 different unique zip codes. And that would be zip codes from Gusmacher players and attendees at Junk Junction over the weekend. We have not got data from the car show. I'm not sure that they tracked exactly the areas that they were from, but they did have 64 cars that participated. We had 96 basketball teams, and we had 122 vendor spots.
Well, I was interested to hear that. I spoke to one of the young ladies that was here endorsing the Gus Mocker tournament. Mr. Lucas might know her. Was your Chloe? Yep. And she said it was a great tournament.
It was a great tournament.
So the level of people that were really supporting it, I guess it was really a good show for you.
Yeah, for a first-time host city, the Gusmacher was happy with the way the event pulled together. We spoke with several of the teams that traveled from out of state, Minnesota in particular. They're interested in returning, and they have plans to bring additional teams from their area. We did have teams, you'll see this all in the final report, but we did have teams from Wisconsin, Michigan, Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois, Nebraska, Kansas, Alabama, Florida. There was an Alaska player, but he is friends with someone from Moberly. So, and we did have vendors from outside the state as well. So,
And what about Junk Junction? I know that's been growing every year.
Junk Junction, yes. So we had 122 vendor spots. That's an increase from 77 last year. We do not intend to grow the vendor spaces next year. We think we have plenty. We'll just continue to curate the vendors. So we do turn away vendors that we do not think will be successful at this event because of the items that they're selling. We're looking for a certain type. We want vintage, handmade, upcycled, repurposed, and a few specialty items. And so our plan is just to make the vendors better. We will have more food. That continues to be the struggle. We had several food trucks that dropped at the last minute. So we filled in with a couple of them, but we do know that some of our restaurants were still very busy and unable to keep up. One of our downtown restaurants was not open on Saturday because they had a family wedding. So they'll be open hopefully next year. We do plan on looking at Junk Junction for a 2-day event next year because the Gusmacher tournament is 2 days, and the Gusmacher attendees were wondering where the vendors were on Sunday. So the other comment that we had back from some of the downtown retailers is that they, some of the people who attended were not able to hit all the booths because there were so many of them. So by doing 2 days, you can stop, take a break, hang out at Shady's for a little while, and then continue shopping. We did hear from Liz at Coach Light that there were 2 separate groups of travelers in from Lee's Summit who'd never been to Moberly before, but they saw our ad in the Missouri. Which one? Show me Missouri? No, Missouri. It was Missouri Life magazine. So,
Okay.
yep. Any other questions? Oh yeah, our hotels were. We had tons of Macon overflow. So our hotel was full, and then Macon's were full as well. So we need more rooms.
I might add, my wife had never been to that, and I talked her into going. Big mistake. Big mistake.
You want to elaborate on that?
Still waiting for my
How
credit
much do they
card,
cost you?
credit
Yeah.
card statements to come in.
Yeah, there were, we had good sales days for all of our brick and mortar businesses. That a couple of them were down from last year, but they thought that was potentially just because there was so much going on the weekend. Some of our other retail businesses had new record days, so it's just a fine balancing act. No one's quite sure why someone buys more at one versus the other, but good day in sales.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, so any other questions of department heads?
I had a question. Our fire chief, is he here? There you are. I had a question. There were several pages about the fire hydrant testing. And excuse my ignorance on this, but were all of them satisfactory? I did read through all the pages. And I quickly learned that I really didn't understand everything that was on that page.
The term satisfactory is somewhat.
I mean, up to the
subjective.
standard that you would want it to be each fire hydrant.
Oh, no, it would be nice to have hydrants that have 100-pound PSI on everything, but that's with the systems and the distributions that we have, that's not possible. Some of them are pretty low, and when we go to fight a fire there, we're going to struggle trying to maintain water flow, but that's a combination of the distribution grids that we have, and then the fact that, there might be what we call a dead end because they're not looped together yet. So when it comes down to, am I satisfied with it? No, probably not. I'll never be satisfied with it because you always want more water.
Yeah.
So, but when it comes down to the reports, this is what we're getting at the hydrants. That's why it's being reported on. So it's basically giving you an idea of where those flow problems may be and what might have to be addressed at that point.
And I guess the ones that are very low, can we do something about those to improve that? Or?
But the only thing that we can be doing is improving the grid itself, and then working together with the water department to try to have water pressure boosted in those areas at that time. So unless we can get that combination work together, then we're still going to struggle. So.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Okay, going twice. Anyone have anything else before the council? All right, if there's nothing else, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn to the work session, followed by a closed session. Is there a motion to that effect?
So move.
And a second?
Second.
It's been motion and seconded. Roll call, please.
Jeffrey,
Yes.
Brubaker,
Yes.
Kimmons,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Kaiser.
Yes.
Okay, so motion approved. We are adjourned from regular session of Mobley City Council, and we will move on to the work session and take up that agenda. And the first on the agenda for the work session is an appointment to the University of Missouri Extension Council.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Matt Douglas's term on the Extension Council expires this month. It's a 2-year term. He has volunteered to serve again on the city's position on that council. We're asking that this be moved forward.
All right. Anyone have any questions? Anyone opposed to moving that forward for Matt to be on the extension? All right, hearing no opposition, including his own, we'll move that forward to the next meeting. And that brings us to item number 2, review of Phase 2 solar solution.
You see by the summary in the report, or the proposal attached, they gave 3 options, and so the third option is doing all of what was originally Phase 2. So as you recall, this was approved a couple of years ago, and MC hasn't moved on it. So Brian got ESP involved trying to move it forward, and ESP gave us 3 options. So option 3 would be moving forward with all of them, but they don't cash flow well. Option 1 was doing the solar pavilion on the west side of Rothwell Park Road without solar. And option 2 is essentially the happy medium. moving forward that pavilion with solar. So we not only complete a project that was in our 10-year plan, but we're completing a solar pavilion as the donor had bought into. And so what staff is recommending moving forward is number 2, the solar pavilion.
Okay, so specifically, it's a solar pavilion with concrete slab?
Correct.
And then where does the amphitheater fall into this whole thing, or is it a whole different project?
That'll be another one coming before you all. We're waiting on two companies to provide cooperative bids on those. They're having trouble getting responsive subcontractors in central Missouri to essentially put numbers together, but that'll be a separate proposal coming before you all.
And I think you had the dimensions in there, 80 by, can you go through a little
80
bit?
by 110, and that was the original footprint. So originally under the phase 2 with MC, it was going to be we were going to do the slab after the project was complete. This is the structure and the slab all together, but it's 80 by 110 as originally planned.
Mr. Davis, hang on a second.
Yeah, I guess this MC Power has just walked away from this phase 2, is that correct? I mean, from what I was reading in the report. Didn't we have a contract with them?
Yes, so the financial models didn't make sense on phase 2, and the financing company that they were using wasn't able to provide the financing, which is the 2 main causes of the delay.
Okay.
Mr. Kaiser? No? Thought you had a question.
I was going to say, Mayor, I think they're 11-foot side, 11 feet at the side on that 80 by 110. And how big's Riley Pavilion on the sides?
I'd have to double check that. It's substantially higher.
Yeah, so this is a little bit lower on the sides, and I think at the peak, I can't remember what it gets up to, but
I think it was going to be 18 at the
yeah, so it's from
center.
11 to 18.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming that you've looked at what the functionality of this is going to be, and we can still do everything that we intended to do.
Correct. This is basically the identical building as what MC had proposed 2 years ago. It'll just come with the concrete and everything already done. It'll be turnkey.
And so the net cost of the city is increased by how much? Or actually the Parks and Rec, but the city.
Yeah, I would have to look because, yes, labor and materials have gone up. The original proposal with MC Power didn't have the 80 to 100,000 of concrete in there, for example, so it's not completely apples and oranges.
Okay.
Or apples and apples.
Anyone else? Anyone opposed to moving that forward? All right, that'll move forward to the next meeting. Thank you, Mr. Bach. And last on the agenda is number 3, appointment to the Fire Prevention Board.
Yes, Mayor, Tom Hall's term expires in October of this year. The fire department had a conversation with Mr. Hall, and he's willing to remain on the board. We're asking this be moved forward to the November meeting for approval.
Anyone have any questions about that appointment? Anyone opposed to moving that forward? All right, hearing none, that appointment will move forward to the next meeting. That concludes the agenda for the work session for this evening. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn to work session.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
You mean closed session?
Oh, I didn't say that.